WFH with two guys. Now here's Benny and Dennis.
Sometimes when you have a lot of questions for one of our guests, Dennis, we have to have them come back because there's just so many questions that go unanswered. And John Ray is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, in his book, The Generosity Mindset, Benny and I both had a chance to read it, and it really does open your eyes about how you price the goods and services that you provide, and it gets you to think it from a whole different perspective. And so John's coming back to even go deeper into that and help us understand more about what that book is telling us and how you can apply that book to your world as well.
It's an opportunity for us to be able to really kind of dive in a little bit deeper, and really what I've took from the understanding and reading of the book really kind of opened up my mind. But the ability to really ask John the questions was super helpful. And I think you're going to really enjoy this particular podcast. John Ray is a wonderful guest, and this is an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about the generosity mindset. So let's listen in. Sometimes we have a conversation that really needs to be expanded on, and sometimes we need to do a little bit of research too as well. And I'm glad that you're back here, John, because having the opportunity to have an initial understanding of what the generosity mindset was all about, and really what that means. The thing that I want our listeners to know is that we got an opportunity to read your book, and by being able to do that, it's an opportunity for us to really kind of dive in deeper. So thanks for coming back on the podcast, and we really appreciate it.
Well, I'm honored to be back, and thank you for having me back. So I really appreciate that, and appreciate you taking the time to read the book.
Yeah,
You bet.
Great read. I mean, I encourage the listeners, get this book and read it. It's an eye opener. So, John, as we read it, for our listeners, is there any examples where they were here and then they moved over to the other side after reading your book, and kind of the ahas that is there anything you can share with the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I've had quite a lot of feedback on it, and certainly both from readers that have not worked with me, and of course those that have, and I had one recent client told me that we got through with a session, and she told me, in an hour and a half, she had cleared up how she thinks about her clients in ways that she had been working on for 6 years. I mean, that it was, and part of it is just perspective, and getting someone else to give you the perspective that clients see intangible value in what you do as a service provider that you don't see yourself. And when you understand that, it's powerful for how you market, how you talk to clients, and how you price.
Yeah, and I think, as reading the book, it causes you to step back and think about how you do things. And most of the time, at least in my world, it was just price per hour. And now it's like, okay, how do you look at the value you're bringing? And that's a different mindset. It has changed, and it's somewhat uncomfortable at first, but then once you start doing it, it begins to work. And it's like, you don't talk about hourly rates, and you don't talk about hours. You just try to help them see the value that you're going to bring to them. And it's amazing. They usually all buy into it. I haven't had anyone say no since I've started doing it with the new pricing the way you've recommended.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. I'm delighted to hear that.
Well, I think that there's a lot there. It's one of those opportunities for us to really kind of shift our mindset. I mean, the bottom line, and John just kind of confirmed that, my observation is that anybody can achieve business growth by prioritizing the client value and the relationships you have with those clients. That's really kind of the bottom line when we boil it down to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and just to reiterate that, as you implied there, is that generosity is not about giving anything away. It's about changing your perspective to the perspective that others have, and walking a mile in their shoes, as the old cliche goes, but it really goes deeper than that. It's trying to understand where they see value, and what their hopes, dreams, aspirations, problems, issues are, some of which don't have anything to do with your business.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, a lot of it does, because clients unless you have these conversations, see, they don't know exactly what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, Benny's a great, I'll use Benny as an example if I can. So Benny's an IT services provider. And like, if you ask 100 people what IT services means, you're going to get about 150 different answers, right?
Oh yeah, every time.
Right. So they have no idea what they think they know what Benny does, but until they have a conversation and with Benny asking the right questions about what their problems are in their business, not what Benny offers, but what their problems are, then Benny's got a chance to really bring transformation to that client.
Yeah. The value isn't in the service per se, but it's in that transformation. Is that an accurate representation?
Well, here's a cliched example. When you go to the gasoline station, you're not buying gas. You're buying the freedom to travel for another 350 miles in that vehicle. You're that's what you're buying, and this is not my idea. I mean, this is Ted Levitt from 70 years ago wrote about this, but we as business owners have to learn this. We have to learn that it's not about us per se. It's about what clients perceive their needs are and how we talk about that. And when we talk about what we do in those terms, in client terms, then their synapses light up, right? I mean, because we're talking their language.
Yeah, and I think then the key thing is to get to know those potential clients, or if they're clients already, understand their problems. Try to, as you said, walk in their shoes and help them see how you can then help them make life better. Because nobody wants to go into work and hit their head against the wall. And so it's like, okay, how can we help them avoid hitting their head against the wall every time with whatever solution that we've got or whatever? But don't sell the solutions. Show that, hey, by doing this, you're not going to hit your head against the wall and life's going to feel a lot better and you're going to, make more money and enjoy life. And they all of a sudden see a value for that. And then that's how you can make money at it.
Absolutely. I heard something just this morning from somebody that was talking about the roofer that had come that had repaired the roof. And they didn't talk about the great shingles they were using. They didn't talk about the nails they're going to stay in the shingles and keep the shingles on. They didn't talk about any of that stuff. What this guy said about this roofer was, it was such a great feeling to wake up this morning and realize that with all this rain, I didn't have a leak in my house. He talked about his feelings. He did not talk about how the roofer does what he does, because he doesn't know what happened up on that roof. He wasn't up there, right? So this is understanding how we talk to clients. And again, you can't talk that way unless you understand, as you say, Dennis, what their issues, problems, concerns, dreams, hopes, and fears are.
Well, this is actually a good point, because I think that when it comes to positioning with clients, right, a lot of business owners, and I think this is a mistake, is that they try to appeal to everybody out there, right? And is there some practical steps that we as business owners can take to define that ideal client? And we want to position ourselves more effectively with them. Is any ways that we can go about doing that?
Well, the more value conversations you have, and value conversation being defined as going on this journey with people to understand what their where they perceive value. The more of those you have, the better you understand who your typical client is, right? And you understand kind of what they look like. And it's hard when you first get in business. And when you first get in business, you have to have a lot of these conversations to get there. But if you've been in business for a while, you kind of know in a lot of ways, right? And it kind of short circuits the conversation because you can get to places in the conversation faster than you would be able to when you started the business. So what you've got to use these opportunities as learning and try to draw common themes from those conversations.
Are there any key questions that you would suggest that that we as business owners and providing these services that we should ask?
Here are a few. If you're dealing with another business and you're particularly a small to medium-sized business, ask how the spouse thinks about that business. Yeah, boy, you want to get to the truth fast. Ask why it is that they're working on this problem today. Why it is, what makes this so urgent? Because the truth of the matter is, we know that none of us, of course, in this conversation, but we know that small business owners can procrastinate, right? And they just get used to that problem, like a broken arm. They just get used to the arm being broken. So something is burning on the stove. You've got to find out what that is. The fact that they would finally get over their procrastination and call you. So ask, why now? Why now? Why not wait 6 months? What would happen if you waited 6 months? Why me? And not just why me. Why me? Because I'm not the cheapest. Now, what have you done there? What you've done is you have communicated that I'm not the discount provider. And if someone's got a problem with that, then you're going to find out immediately, and you're going to save yourself a lot of time. So, but why me is always a great question to ask, often an essential question to ask. That's just a few ideas. I've got a lot in the book, but you've got to, don't take the book and just read my questions. I'm using those as a thought prompt for people to customize to their business.
Well, and I was going to say from the book, and like I said, I've read it. It's one of these ones where don't just put it on the shelf after you've read it. You're going to need to go back through it periodically because some of this is change management. I mean, there's some things that you're going to have to change how you think about yourself, how you price it, how you approach things. And there's some really good bullet points in here that, and John, I asked you before we recorded, but is this going to be on audiobook? Because this is the type of thing when you're out driving, this is a good one to turn on and just listen to. If you listen to the whole thing, great, or at least parts of it periodically, just to refresh yourself, because we're all human and it's easy to go back to the old behaviors really easily if we're not careful.
Well, thank you for that, first of all. And yes, I am working on the audio version of the book. And so hopefully it will be out here soon. Folks can find it at their favorite location to acquire those things. But yes, it's really important to change this mindset, because we keep doing things that we've always done. If you charge by the hour, for example, it's just easy to default to that. I mean, I had a client that had to rehire me because she said, we just got busy and it was just like too easy for us to go back to our old ways, quote by the hour, right? And
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
I'm not criticizing that at all. But it is hard. And I think that's a really astute point, that it is, there's a lot of change here that's required, but the benefits of it are so great. That's what I'm trying to convince folks of in the book, that the benefits are so great that once you get a taste of it, you won't go back.
And it's also important, as I've read it, I'm having some of my team members read it as well, because they're involved in helping determine, well, at least the cost of going. So their mindset is still that hours and price per hour. And it's like, I still need to know that, but I need them to be thinking about, okay, this piece that we're doing for them, and we do the workflow type thing, that, hey, this thing's really valuable to them, or no, this thing, they can still do it in an Excel spreadsheet and there's not a lot of value there. And so it's trying to understand from that customer's perspective, what we're going to do for them. And is it really going to change their life and help them? And is it going to make the spouse happy? I like that one. That's a great one. That, I
Well,
mean, it hits home. I mean, it's like if the spouse ain't happy, nobody's happy. So, and it carries on. So it's like, that's a great one. And then the question about, why now? I had a client yesterday that out of the blue called and has to do all this stuff right away. I've been talking to him for 2 years about this thing. But I didn't ask him why. It was just, he needs it now. And I'm going to follow up with my call today to him and say, what changed? Why are you wanting to do it now versus over the last 2 years we've talked about it was never a hot topic for you?
Yeah, and let's just get a taste of what comes when you start asking these questions. There could be a rush fee involved.
Right.
All of a sudden, something is blown up, and there's motivation to move. And if you've got to rearrange your schedule, rearrange your client priorities for this client, then that involves an extra charge, folks. You should not avoid the conversation about, hey, if you want this done faster, it'll be a premium price.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Hey, let's talk about negative mindsets. Okay. I know that this in over the years, I've had this kind of creep in, imposter syndrome, just kind of thinking about I've talked to other folks about inadequacy and scarcity kind of mindset. And I know that can hold a business back, but with the generosity mindset involved, how can we use that to help counter some of these negative thoughts? John, what are some ways that we can be able to use that to our advantage?
Well, in general, when you are leaning into what clients perceive, what clients perceive about you and your value, when you lean into what clients tell you, like what I just mentioned about what that client told me, I can lean on that. I don't have to lean on what I think about myself. Clients are telling me this, right? And so and clients see more value in the service that I provide them than I see myself. And so that's why the generosity mindset is so important, is because it gives you confidence to be able to talk to clients because you have achieved transformation for other clients, and you can lean on what they tell you. You don't have to lean on whatever those little devils are that are sitting on your shoulder, whispering in your ear, and what they're saying about what you can and cannot do.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I'm not a psychologist, and I mean, some folks probably, I mean this seriously. I mean, they probably need a little therapy around this, and that's okay. But for a lot of us, it's just simply, who are we going to listen to? Are we going to listen to those negative voices in our head? Or are we going to listen to what we're being told by real people that had real problems that we solved?
Great.
One last thing I definitely want to kind of ask about too as well, and we have to do this. We have to talk about this chapter because it's important and it's very relevant to me and Dennis. But one of the things you talk about in the book is starting a podcast and potentially using that as a mechanism to be able to help spur business. Obviously, that caught my eye, and I know Dennis do as well. But can you talk a little bit about the importance of that? Why? What can we do with a podcast, and how can that help us?
Well, see, you can do what you're doing right now. You're building a relationship with me because you invited me on your show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, you're making the show about me, not about what you do. And what does that do for me? It makes you memorable in my eyes. So it creates a reciprocity that is good for you over the long haul. So, you can go get yourself a mic and talk about what you do. And, your mama and your spouse may listen, but it's not it's not going to be as effective as choosing your tribe, whoever you want to sell to, and being the mic at the center of that tribe and celebrating that tribe. And when you do that, you will get business from that tribe.
Mm.
So if your tribe, if your ideal client is the group of left-handed house painters in the country, then you need to create the left-handed house painter show, not how to prepare tax returns for left-handed house painters, but talk about left-handed house painters and invite them on your show and invite those who service left-handed house painters. And you become the expert, the mic at the center of that tribe, and you will get business from them.
The one thing that I think is also really important to drive home about this whole generosity mindset is that it's a journey, isn't it, John? This isn't something that you can implement a couple of tips that you have in the book and then all of a sudden, miraculously, you've 10x'd your revenue. This is a process.
Yeah, it is. It's a journey. So my blog is The Price and Value Journey. That's the title of it. Emphasis on the word journey. We are all on a journey to figure this out. The values of our clients change, sometimes modestly, sometimes radically, depending on what's going on, where they perceive value, and what's going on in our business changes. The value that we can provide changes as we grow and develop in our business. So it's a constant thing. And there's only one way to accurately price. And that is to be able to solve the heads of your clients and look down inside and see all the things that are going on in there in terms of how they view value. And you obviously cannot do that. And even doing that won't get to their hearts, which drive a lot of their decisions as well, right? So it's a journey, and we're all on this journey. And we just know that it's a port we'll never get to, but that's okay. If we're making the journey, then we'll get there.
John, this is a great conversation, but as usual, there was more questions than I had, and we've running out of time as usual. But I think it's really important for those out there who are listening to the podcast and you have some questions of your own, and maybe the book will kind of lightly touch on it, but the best way for people to be able to get some information is to reach out to you. So, John, I'm going to encourage people to do that. But how do they get a hold of you? How can any listener out there get a hold of you, John?
You can email me directly, john@johnray.co, just co, john@johnray.co. If you're shy, you can go to my website first and see John Ray, JOHNRAY.co, and check that out. And you can also, there's a book tab there. You can also go to the generositymindset.com directly to learn about the book and where to buy it, which is essentially where all fine books are sold.
Fantastic. Well, John, author of The Generosity Mindset, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Well, I'm grateful thank you, Dennis, Benny. I'm grateful to you, and congratulations on the great work you do. You're doing great work with this podcast and certainly in your day jobs, as it were. So thank you for that.
We appreciate it.
Well,
Thanks.
we appreciate
a lot.
it, John.
Thanks, John.
Very generous of you to say so. Thank you, John. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Well, Dennis, that's another podcast in the can. I know that a lot of you all want to know how to get in touch with us. Dennis, what's the best way for folks to be able to get a hold of you?
Yeah, email's by far the best for me. It's Dennis J, so DENNISJ @worksolution.com, and that's WORX solution, no S at the end, so solution.com. Benny, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. Get a hold of me. My email address is benny@velocitytechnology.group. That's BENNY @velocitytechnology.group. Also, for me and Dennis, you can find us on LinkedIn. Look for us on LinkedIn. Our Work From Home with Two Guys is on LinkedIn. And we also have a website, WFH2guys.com. Look us up. You'll find all the past episodes and some little bits of information that maybe we don't get a chance to talk to on the podcast. We put it out there too as well.
And definitely share us with your friends and people in your network.
Absolutely. Let us know what we can do to make this podcast your podcast. Give us some ideas. If you'd like to be a guest, let us know. We'll talk to you guys soon.
You've been listening to WFH with Two Guys. We'll see you next time.